Hello and welcome everybody to Turtle Strikes 13.3 patch rundown. Unfortunately missed 13.1b because I had a lot of audio issues, and by the time I got them fixed, it was like 5 days into the patch. That being said, looking at the changes already listed, I think there are a lot of good changes, a lot of good buffs also coming through, and also Aurelion Sol is finally getting dropped on this patch, and I'm so excited to see him inside of competitive and just inside seeing this champion again, because Aurelion Sol is one of my favorite champions ever designed, and the fact that he's gonna be playable again is awesome, and I can't wait. So I might make a separate video covering all of the Aurelion Sol changes, but from what I've seen, he's very powerful in that mid to late game scenario. It's kind of his early game, you have to learn and play it out in a unique way to be able to maximize Stardust and really much get that execute on the E on like caster minions and stuff like that, so you're able to get a lot of that damage and get to your breakpoints with Stardust. The builds I've been seeing are like more the bulkier side, like Roa Seraphs, and like a lot of health stacking because he has a lot of max damage into his kit, and there's a lot of different stuff like that. I'll probably make a separate video on Aurelion Sol covering him because there's so much changes going there. It's awesome. I can't wait to get into it. So Amumu, Q mana cost increase, E damage decrease. We adjusted Mumu at the end of last season to the sad Mummy could find some friends in the new jungle companions. However, he seems to have found two main friends in both jungle support, so we're nerfing him in both roles. Mana cost up by 5 at all ranks. E Tantrum, damage is down by 15 early and buffed by 5 late. So his early clear is definitely going to be suffering from this, and it's one of the more essential parts to a Mumu, I would be saying, because by the time you get Demonic and all that, you're kind of one-shotting camps already, and it's even buffed later on into the game once you get to 5, so you're going to be clearing faster later, but early game, you're definitely going to be feeling that. I don't feel like Mumu was nerf worthy. Maybe in very low MMRs, he was very good and very powerful, but every time I see a Mumu jungle at least, which I think these impact a Mumu jungle way more than support, um, I didn't really see him too much of a threat. Now Annie, okay, this champion has gotten buffed so much recently, and so let's see what they're doing. Passive is now fully charged on spawn. Okay, so you can just go for invades like right off the bat. E shield strength increase, cooldown decrease, retaliation damage and conditions adjusted. R Tibbers health, armor, magic resist, and movement speed is increased. Okay, this is actually big. This is big because she goes Rylai's, so having Tibbers be able to get on top of them is massive. Okay, shield strength is going to be going up by 20% of an AP ratio, and that's to herself and her target. So that's like between a couple, that's an extra 120 shield. That situationally matters because if you're not chewing through the entire shield, obviously it's not as big of an impact as heals are, because if you don't get through the entire shield, then maybe the buff doesn't matter, but in those niche situations that you are getting through the entire shield, it's really good buff. Cooldown down by 2 seconds at all ranks, since this is a very big buff for support Annie, which I think, if you remember like season 5, season 6, support Annie was very strong. I think with like maybe there's like a variation with like Moonstone Rylai's that you can become this weird like heal shield bot, like with a bunch of like just a lot of utility. I think is something definitely need to be explored. And retaliation magic damage is up by 10 to 90 and then 40. That's actually bad. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's giving more power into her E. After they keep buffing her, they just keep buffing Annie. Like, we're definitely gonna see her line up the riff. When Molten Shield is out, okay, so they're changing the conditions. When Molten Shield is active, enemies whose basic attacks hit the shield receive magic damage. Well, they receive this anytime they hit. When Molten Shield is active, enemies whose basic attack and spells hit. Oh my gosh. Will now only inflict damage against opponents once per target per shield. Oh. Okay. Okay, so before it was like kind of ram as a Thornmail, and now it's just flat, just one time. That's it. Okay, so um, I think this is still a really good buff because I think she can give out technically 3 shields because she gives one to herself, Tibbers, and an ally, if I remember correctly. So it's a lot of damage that gets added, especially in the inside of trades inside of lane. That's a lot of early damage that's getting put into her kit. And then Tibbers health. Oh, so it's going to scale 75% AP, and the armor and magic resist is going to scale 5%. And then move speed's going to go up by level. Okay. So Annie really needs levels now. Yeah, I don't know. Annie looks really good. I think I don't know. People have to test that. I think Moonstone, Rylai's Annie could be very powerful. I think even just Rylai's rush into maybe like I don't want to say Radiant Virtue because that sounds like a little bit too. I don't know. It sounds like too much on that Enchanter side, but I think this is definitely something to be looking at and looking out for because I think there's a lot of stuff Annie can do because I think Annie has been on the cups for a while, and I don't know. I feel like it's just a matter of time before we start seeing her in side of play, and especially inside of solo queue. Like gold under, Annie is like one of the best champions right now. If you want to climb, pick Annie. Annie mid is like one of the best champions to pick in gold and below. Base stats increase. This isn't keeping 8%. This isn't keeping Jarvan out of pro play or being picked. He has a lot of other issues. Champs just do his job better. Champs have better gank angles, better farming, better clearing, better team fight. Jarvan might need a rework because there's just so many champs just do his job better. And I mean, that's the real issue. Cassante, base health increased. Q knockup and stun duration decreased. W min stun duration decreased. R bonus resistance lost. Now this, if you've been listening to what I've been saying, this is what I said for a while now. This is what they had to do to impact and hit Cassante, was hit this stuff. So has too much CC, agreed, and we're tapping down numbers to make him a little bit less oppressive. Last we were dropping his ability as all out to emphasize he needs to ice his. Yes, okay, perfect. Health growth is up by 6. I think max rank, that's what, about 36, 72, like 108 extra health at level 18. So it's not nothing to scoff at. Knockup duration down by 0.15. So over the span of a fight, you're hitting this about 3 times. That's about like half a second CC lost here on the knock up duration, and then a quarter of a second here. So he's losing about like a quarter of a second of CC, 3/4 of seconds on CC just from his Q alone. Again, his W, same with his W. So he's basically losing like an entire second worth of CC. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of just being soloed out by a Cassante, yeah, you definitely feel that. So good nerfs here, and then all out going to 85% is gain shred. So he's like having, I don't know, these are really good changes. I think this is definitely going to hurt Cassante. Getting nerfed a couple patches in a row now. The thing is that he's just has so much oppressive build, so he's so oppressive when he isn't even in all out because of just how much raw stats he has. He can take a lot of damage before he even goes and looks for those all out options. I think this is definitely gonna knock him down a few pegs. Maybe he's not blind pickable anymore. Maybe he's definitely able to get countered out. Like Jax was getting picked into him, and I've seen a couple fights that when they were in all out, Jax would lose. But if he didn't have if he had 20% less resistances, Jax would probably end up winning some of those fights. So maybe he's not blind pickable anymore. We're definitely still gonna be saying Cassante. Hopefully, I think he's a cool champion. People probably hate him playing him in top lane all the time, but I think he's a cool champion. Really excited to see him, and always he's just fun to watch, I think. Hopefully this does tone him down so he's not as OP as he was. But yeah, Kassadin. Okay, good. E base damage decrease, cooldown reduction from nearby cast decrease, R damage decrease, bonus damage per attack decrease. So they're hitting Kassadin's base numbers. And for people that do not know, I think the reason why Kassadin became so strong after they did this Force Pulse change was that his E was really balanced around that 5-second cooldown plus being in range of 5 abilities being cast. So the fact that you just a static cooldown and you have this ability to spam it like once, basically every time you ult, you had an E up. Before, sometimes you would have to wait a couple seconds for the ult in before your E was back up. So they really, a lot of the damage inside Kassadin was very much built on that. So, okay, Scratch what I was saying. It's worse early game, so Kassadin has a weaker early lane. I think if you're a good Kassadin player, I don't think this changes anything. Like, the first 5 levels or first 3 levels are probably gonna play out the exact same way. This only maybe hurts if you're going like a 3Q max into E, like some Kassadin lanes have to do. Like LeBlanc, I know, is a very popular one that you go 3Q then max E. And lanes like that, you're going to be a lot weaker around the level 7 and 8 spike. I don't know how much this really affects because it is a quarter of a second, so every 4 spells it's going to be on 1 second slower cooldown, and with his E duration gain nerfed last patch, that is going to stack up, so hopefully we'll see it here. 80 to 120, 70 to 110, and they're not going to touch the ratios, okay, and then bonus damage per stack is down by 5. So since he is spamming this ability a lot, but I feel like a lot of times the only time you're ever already in on someone is if you're in a 1v1 or you're like hyper late game and you're going in for the one shot. So this might knock him down. I don't really think this is going to change when or why you're picking Kassadin. I mean, there are definitely nerfs, and with what happened last patch, it's obviously starting to stack up a little bit. But I don't really think this is going to stop you from picking Kassadin, especially in pro play or whenever Kassadin is like how strong he is and what makes him very good. Being a mobile, putting down lots of pressure, a lot of that stuff. I don't think this is going to change you playing Kassadin. Maybe you just have to slightly learn how to play him a little bit differently now. But I think what makes Kassadin strong is still here. I don't think they hit his damages enough, especially since like his damage is the same at max rank here. And yes, this damage is going to add up over time, but like inside of a game, it's maybe like inside a fight, maybe it's like an extra 100. So like, it's not really, I feel like, that much being missed here. Kayle. Kayle's one of my favorite champs, but she is so bad right now. So what they do: passive bonus move speed, increase E on hit, AP scaling, increase missing health damage, increase. Exalted, bonus move speed, game basically about tier 2 boots, I think. Passive on hit, 15 to 35, 10 to 25. Missing health damage. Where's the missing health damage? Did they forget to put that? Did they forget to change this text up here? Unfortunately, I don't think this is gonna make Kayle any better. Especially inside top lane, there's too many champs that can just oppress her early and set up for junglers to come and gank. It's just too much pressure for Kayle to deal with right now in top lane. Mid lane, I still think there is options that you can sometimes try to slot her in mid lane, but then in the end, it's like, would you rather have a Kayle or a Kassadin? Would you rather like play early for a cast or play for later game with a Kassadin or a Kayle? Kayle's still so strong. Hopefully those ult buffs that I saw going around on Twitter come in eventually, because I feel like those were a really good change. Her ult basically would be her auto range, which would not force her to, and she might even be able to auto in it, which basically give her like a partial Tryndamere ultimate. That would probably be a lot better buffs. I mean, this again, it's nice. It's gonna help. If this maybe was on there, maybe I can't say a different case, but I don't really think this is gonna fix the issues that Kayle is experiencing right now. Sorry, you're one trick, so you still have to just play Kayle and wait for late game. Passive Shadow Assassin Kayn damage increase, Q80 scaling increase. So Shadow Assassin bonus is, I think this is just unnerved. I think like a couple months ago they nerfed it to these numbers, so I think they just undid a nerf on Shadow Assassin here, and then this is only in this will not affect Ross damage as he has separate Q values. Okay. You're getting about maybe an extra 40 damage, or sorry, 30 damage, 45 per Q. I don't think this is what gatekeeping Shadow Assassin. I mean, inside solo queue, Shadow Assassin is so powerful because how well he can get around the map and how much damage you do and how hard it is to lock him down in coordinated environments. But what's gatekeeping Kayn isn't necessarily the champion's power level, is that people just need to find the slots for Kayn. If you remember at Worlds, we had Canyon had 2 really good Kayn games, and like he was 1v9ing. Too bad Damwon kind of choked it for him. Like he was going out of control. He was playing so well. Those are the angles you have to try to find Kayn in. Especially for professional play. For solo queue, I think this is definitely obviously a buff for Kayn for solo queue if you play that Shadow Assassin variant. I don't know, this doesn't really change him too much for professional play or like elite play, but for solo queue it's a really big buff because Kayn's a very powerful champion there. LeBlanc, mana regeneration and mana regeneration growth increase. Q mana cost is now flat all ranks. R cooldown decreased early. Okay, that is a big one right there. Mana regeneration is 8, and mana growth is 1. Or regeneration growth. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. She's actually... Because one of the parts about LeBlanc is that her ability to maybe run low on mana inside lane if you're not using your spells right. So, the problem is, this doesn't change anything for early game when LeBlanc has her mana problems, because she's maxing W first. So this 50 doesn't really change anything because for at least early game. This might this definitely changes stuff, and this kind of helps with roams. It does give you that more variability to have like maybe just slightly earlier plays be made off of, or maybe find a slightly earlier kill thresholds. Overall, I don't think this is gonna change LeBlanc too much. Maybe this makes pros force pick her more just because like, oh, LeBlanc got buffed and we like LeBlanc, so let's play her. But like overall, I don't really think this changes her much. This is nice for early laning phase. Doesn't really matter outside, and this buff doesn't. This is placebo. Doesn't do anything. This is kind of nice. I don't really think this does anything towards LeBlanc. Lee Sin, Q80 ratio increase. E base damage decrease, slow increase. Okay. Sonic Wave physical damage. 55 to 155 plus 100% bonus AD to 55 to 155 plus 110% bonus AD. Is this and then for a strike minimum physical damage 55, so maximum damage is still W the value of minimum damage. Oh, okay, so this is technically when it's like the execution part, it's a 20% bonus AD ratio, so he's getting about, I would say, 20 extra damage if you go full lethality, which I think if you're picking Lee Sin, you should just go for like a full lethality one shot. Just try to one shot someone one tap. Bruiser Lee Sin, if you're gonna pick Bruiser Lee Sin, there's a plethora of other champions you can pick that do the same thing. Just look for the options of that. And then total damage going down by, that's a lot. What was that, 65? 100% bonus AD to 100% total AD. Okay, so does this even change anything? Like, cause what's his like base attack damage? Like what, about 68, 69? So it's an extra like 3-ish damage. Still going up by a lot. I think this is a second max ability for jungle. It could be W though, I'm not quite sure. If this is a second match ability, that's a lot bigger of a slow, but he's always maxing Q first for jungle, so, and sometimes you don't even get to this PowerPoint. I don't think this does enough for Lee Sin. I still think if you're picking him, you should go full lethality. One shot. Just try to one tap a backline member. Just go for something like that. They're nice. I don't really think this is going to make him competitively viable anymore. Or again, if people are going to pick Lee Sin, they're going to just pick Lee Sin because they want to pick him. Solo Q, Lee Sin's still just kind of what he does best. And solo queue, high tempo, high pressure, just get around the map, try to just snowball yourself to get enough base stats you can just roll over the enemy, stuff like that. I don't really think this changes anything. I feel like these are toned back from what was on the patch preview, because I think this was like 120% total AD instead of 100%, which would be a lot more of a lot bigger value. And this was like 115, I think. I don't really think this changes Lee Sin up, because the problem is with Lee Sin is that he just gets outclassed by other junglers. Yes, he does always have the ability to look for those flash kicks, and that is a very powerful ability that he does have that other champions don't. But if you're looking for a high tempo early game jungler, like that's AD, like aren't you looking for more like Kindred or like even Jarvan? Even though I said Jarvan's not the best, Jarvan's gonna get better because he can scale better into the later games by just going full tank and just locking people down inside his ultimate with Radiant Virtue and stuff. Rek'Sai is probably even better because she snowballs harder than he does. So if you're looking to snowball with Lee Sin, like I feel like Rek'Sai is just better. I don't know. Lee Sin's problem is that he just either needs to be a one-shot machine or he has to be like almost like a melee drainer, like a drain tank or something like that. You can't like sit in this like middle ground that Riot's having him in because he's just, both builds are just kind of mediocre at best. Trundle. I think Trundle's low-key slept on. Because the problem is, if you think about it, a lot of people are building Trundle as a tank inside of jungle. Well, he just got a better tank mythic inside of Radiant Virtue, giving him so much extra stats and ability to like heal his allies because he's sapping from the enemy tank, giving it to himself, and then buffing up it or healing all of his allies tremendously. Especially if Radiant Virtue's changes are on this patch still. If I looked at the preview, it's even better. I think Trundle's support / jungle going Radiant Virtue is pretty slept on right now. I think it's definitely playable. He's a lot better position.
His W is down by 2 seconds, and now he scales with move speed for his dance. A massive buff, bro. He's gonna be. I've already seen the videos. He goes at supersonic speed. I think Trundle slept on. I think he's definitely playable, especially with so much Sedge walking around. And like even Cassante. The problem with Cassante though, if you're ulting him post his ult mitigation, you're not getting that much off of him. But I think Trundle's good. I think the Radiant Virtue, like full tank, like utility style build, could be so good for competitive and elite play. Solo queue, if you're like going AD Trundle, this doesn't change really anything. Like maybe you can find a lethal like 2 seconds early, but I don't think there's really gonna change too much. More of a placebo buff to like remind people that Trundle exists. Like, hey, maybe I'll try to pick up this champion. W AP scaling decrease, E AP scaling decrease. Okay, so they're nerfing its AP ratios. Magic damage is 35 to 95, 4 to 8, to plus 4% 100 AP, plus 3% per 100 AP. So they're taking 1% bonus damage off per 100 AP, but the magic damage, base damage is down at 20 at max rank, and the AP ratio is down by 10. So he's missing about 30 damage on his E later on, because the problem is he only really goes demonic, and so he only gets about 120, 130 AP if he's lucky inside of a game. A lot of like the top lane Zacs I heard don't even go demonic. It's more of that's more of like a jungle thing, and stuff like that. It's more maybe even like a mid lane when we saw like Caps bust out mid lane Zac and go like full AP. That makes it a little bit more of a difference on this house because that's 2% you're missing. But this isn't really going to change why you're picking Zac. You're picking Zac for his unique gank angles, his ridiculously high CC chain on like a couple targets, and his disruption, and he still has a ridiculously high base damage. Like with just demonic and his his W about this, that's 10% of the target's maximum health per W he uses. And he uses W about 3 times, like 30% max health damage just on his W, not accounting any of the other damages that are going off inside the fight from his Q, E, R, all that stuff. This isn't going to change why you change Zac. Maybe top laner stop building demonic and only go for like a full health style build, because I don't even think they were doing that in the past. We'll just have to see. I don't really think it's changing anything with Radiant, and it's kind of like it's just to tone him down. This isn't going to change why you pick Zac. Zac's still, I think, going to be one of the stronger junglers in the game, especially inside solo queue. He's just going to be so powerful. Okay, Radiant Virtue. Total cost is going to go up by 200. The Guiding Light cooldown is going to go up to 90 seconds instead of 60, and the max health gain is going to go from 10% to 15%, so you're going to get an extra 5%. And total healing is going to be 8 to 16% max health over 9 seconds to just includes healing and passive, to 12% maximum health over 9 seconds, and then they're going to remove the haste part. Is this talking about when it gets healing amped and it only can go to this cap? Or is this like just a nerf to Radiant? Because like this part is obviously good, because more max health means a larger heal. Maybe they're just making this so this is exclusively a tank item, taking away a lot of bruisers going at like Vi goes it, other champions like that nature. Maybe they're trying to make it exclusively for tanks. The cost is going up. I don't know if that is justified by the heal value going up. I think this item is very good. So I think if your champions like, I think this hits champions like Udyr and Karma. I don't think you're ever building this item again, because I don't see any reason why to wait for this 90-second cooldown. And the problem is you don't get to choose when you want to use your mantra or even your awakened form, because you want to use it when you get Radiant Virtue value. So I think those type of champions aren't going to build Virtue anymore. I think it's literally going to be strictly champs like Zac, Sejuani, sometimes Maokai, Vi, when she does build it. Those type of champions probably still going to build it. It's probably a slight buff to them. Maybe it's a nerf for like the jungle users, because you have to get 200 more gold, and that's kind of more hard to get, especially if you're going as a second item. I think it's a nice... I'll just have to see this, to be honest. I just have to see and compare from last patch to this patch on Radiant Virtue. Umbral Glaive, every support's worst nightmare, and yeah, so we're gonna go. Cooldown's gonna go up by 10 seconds. I don't think this is gonna change anything. Ranged champion reduced when a ranged champion using Yellow Gray is attack reward, they will deal 2 true damage to it. Melee champions will still do 3. Okay, so you have stuff that auto award twice instead of 3 times. You still get that ability. No longer instantly kill traps. Okay, this is like kind of big because for like Shaco, and like Jin traps, stuff like that, you don't one shot them anymore. I do not think this changes why you're building Umbral Glaive. It's still gonna be a very good vision denier or lockout. If you're getting like, I've seen some people get like 20 ward kills a game with Umbral Glaive, and like you get to that number, that's like 600 gold almost. Like yeah, it's like literally 600 gold you're getting for free, or 600 gold off the item. So it's like I am kind of cost efficient when it gets to that amount. Maybe this stops junglers from getting it. Like Graves might stop just doing this and just go for full damage. I think the supports that still build this item are going to build this item. I don't really think it's that big of a nerf. It's kind of just tones it back a little bit. This might matter, so you can't one-shot wards. This might buy time for enemies to defend their ward if it's a ranged champion hitting them. We'll have to see. I don't really think it's item. Overheal. Okay, so I was talking about Overheal last patch and a lot of other things, and I forgot they didn't ship this on 13.1. So obviously, 13.1b looks way different if this was gonna be in it, because I was like, oh my gosh, they're doing this change, because this is way bigger for marksman. Revalue 10 plus 9% max HP, 20 to 300 based on champion level. This, and like they say here, this is a buff from level 5 onwards. So I'm assuming this is, if we're keeping marksman in mind, this just gives marksman so much extra bulk, especially when you stack Bloodthirster's bigger shield on top of that. Marksmen now have the ability to get shields and thresholds that otherwise were unattainable before, because of this Overheal buff being just a flat base and Bloodthirster just having a lot larger of a shield. So I think a lot of AD carries that like the front line, or even like I'm thinking of Nyla. First champion when I see a buff like this, I'm thinking in the buff the BT, I'm thinking Nyla. Even Graves with the full like lifesteal build. These champions are going to be insane with Overheal, especially since they did that mana buff and you don't really need presence as much anymore. You can just take Overheal. I feel like we're going to get into a meta that ADCs like are going to be very hard to kill, because they're just going to have extra like 200 shielding, or even like if they get BT, they just going to have an extra like 500 HP you have to chew through. So look for those angles to go Serpent's Fang. So you just instantly cut that shield by like what, 60% for melees, right? And 40% for range. Look for those angles. That's going to be very important to go into this patch. Pay attention to people's runes. Pay attention to how they're interacting early. I like this change. I think it gives a lot of build variety to AD carry that was lacking before, because a lot of the time it was like Shieldbow, Kraken, Lordoms, IE, Phantom Dancer, IE. Like it was like, it's just stuff like that. RFC, IE, like it was literally, that was the ADC builds. Now when you get stuff like this, and with the 40% crit change, you can go like, oh, maybe this game I go for a Navori, or Kraken Navori into a Bloodthirster, or a Lord Noms, or like there's so much more variety in the AD carry items that they have now, especially with this Overheal buff. Awesome. I love this. Okay, melee support adjustments. I don't know why they put this in a separate patch part. I don't know why you just wouldn't put it with the buffs. But regardless, let's read it. Alistar passive, Triumph of Roar, is 23 to 140 based off a level to 5, just 5% maximum health flat. And the ally heal is 6% of Alistar's max HP. So, if we think about it, let's go through all of them. Pulverized mana down by 5, damage is up. Oh, his AP ratio is up by 20. Headbutt, mana down by 15, AP ratio up by 20. Trample down. Oh, his mana. Okay, these are max ranks. This one matters and this one matters. This one's not as big. Total magic damage. Are they trying to bring AP Cal back? Like, these are a lot of AP ratio buffs. Like, that's 20, 20, 30. Like, in just a combo already, with like just AP, he has an extra 70 like extra scaling, 70% AP scaling. That might be something worth experimenting with, especially with Jax coming up in popularity. If people don't remember way back when, one of Jax's counters was actually AP Alistar top. I can't remember what season it was, but that's something that we might have to look out for. I think these are the mana this is a really big buff for support Alistar, because I know he's very mana hungry. So having like 20 less mana in a combo on you can basically try to get another like a fourth combo out that's basically going free, because on your fourth combo you're getting that one for free practically at this point, or at least a free W, I should say. This is way better late game. Oh my gosh, this is such a big late game Alistar buff. I think with these buffs, solo lane Alistar might be a possibility. Maybe in very niche scenarios. I don't know. Good love to the cow. Braum. Okay, Braum is already one of the super strong champion right now. So like him getting buffed is ridiculous. So 864 seconds to 1713. Oh my gosh. Oh my, that's a lot. 2 less levels on support. Okay, rest. Q's just down by 2 seconds early, same late. Oh my gosh, it's up by 20. Holy, oh my word. So he's getting a stronger... Bro, Braum might be like one of the best melee supports in the game. Like after Taric, like dude, Braum is gonna be so strong with his parents, because he already has a lot of ability inside the support pool. Like if they pick a melee support, you can basically always pick Braum and basically be in a good position inside the lane. Gives a lot of ability inside of team fights with the CC, his things to be able to do a lot of stuff, and just give him all this extra raw power. These are really big buffs for Braum. I'm hoping to say a lot more of them, because I love Braum. He's such a fun champ. He's also really, I love him. Passive bonus damage 8, so he's just getting extra 6. Okay. W Titan's Wrath, mana cost down by 20. Shield strength is up by 10 at all levels, and then E Riptide. Ooh, the base damage. So we might be okay. This is something to keep in mind with these Nautilus buffs. Way back when Nautilus would max his E, like in every matchup, get super strong lane prio, have so much raw damage because of his base damage on his E. A lot of stuff like this. When you see buffs like this, the first thing I think of is there now variations of Nautilus that he can go like 3E into maxing Q. Does that stuff change? Does that vary? Is there different builds that can pop up because of these things? I like changes like these because they do maybe change the depth of how a champion can work. And when you change the depth of how a champion works, it's just good for the game. Champions are able to go different playstyles, maybe different item orders or items, skill orders. All this type of thing is something very good for the game's health. I guess this helps Nautilus. I don't know if this makes him like turbo or anything, but definitely is a nice thing to see nonetheless. Pyke Q damage is 1 to 225 to an extra 40 damage plus bonus AD. Okay, that's so remember, inside of bot lane, the numbers you're looking for are these level. If it's their first max ability, is this number right here. What is occurring on the level 5 ability? And on the level 5 ability, he's getting an extra 20 damage. And so that gives him a lot of range for a lot more early executes, and like very Q back off, Q back off, Q back off. A lot of exchanges like that to get champs into kill threshold with his R become a lot more available. Nice buff. For Pyke, his Q's cooldowns is gonna go down by 1 second. Mana's going down by 15, and this is one of his. He spams his ability all the time in lane, so that's a really big change. And the base heal is just going to be flat out buffed. Okay, and then his W, magical or grand entrance, is gonna go up by 20 damage and 10% AP at max rank. Remember, this is the important number right here, level 5. Nice for con buffs. I think this doesn't make him like better. I don't think this even changes when you're gonna pick him. If it's a Rakan angle, you're just gonna pick Rakan. They're just kind of like, they're just nice buffs. Thresh. Okay. 100 to 260 plus 50%. 100 to 280 plus 80%. Thresh's AP ratio can be interpreted as 0.8 damage per soul unless you're going AP. So he's getting per soul an extra 0.3. So every 10 souls is an extra 3 damage. Nice buff. Especially if you're going like a Qmax death sentence thresh. Really nice. Shield per soul down. That's obviously a little hurt. It's gonna hurt a little bit. And AP ratio. I'm gonna assume this ratio is going to 60%. So he's getting basically an extra 0.5 damage per soul inside of his damage combo. So I don't know the average soul thresh gets in a game. I think it's around maybe, I want to say like 100. I don't know if that's being too much or too little. But if it is like 100, that is only about 50 extra damage he's getting on his abilities. So it's not the biggest buff in the world. It's nice. Okay. I saw a chart earlier about the tenacity change. So everything that's in this group gets added multiplicatively. Yeah, this word right here. So group A, all these get added together by multiplication rather than additive, and everything down here is additive. I saw a thing, and I don't know if it's true. A 505 Garen W with only Merc Treads as your only thing, you can get 92% tenacity. Something to keep in mind with tenacity is that no matter how much tenacity you have 100% tenacity. CC will be locked on you for at least 0.3 seconds. No matter what. You can have 100% tenacity and you will still be locked in that CC for at least 0.3 seconds. No matter what. So, obviously, after a certain point, tenacity is really overkill. Because if it locks out at 0.3, doesn't matter if you get to 100% because, yeah, obviously. So, that's a thing to keep in mind that I did read earlier. I think this is a nice change because I think it was really easy. Because I think before, like I'm pretty sure Legend Tenacity and Unflinching were in separate groups, so they got added together instead of multiplied together. So you was able to just get a crap ton of tenacity just from your runes. Jungle adjustments. Gold per treat down by 10, and experience for clearing your camp has been increased by 5% per camp. I don't think this changes anything in jungle. I think this just hurts all junglers because treats spawn no matter what. So everyone gets treats. If this changes when you can hit 6, like if you can only do like 2 full clears and get like 2 crab, or and like get a crab and you can get 6 now. Before I'm pretty sure you had to do like 2 full clears, like a crab, and then like 2 camps, or like 2 crabs and like a buff to hit level 6. If this magically makes it so you only need like 1 less camp, then this is really big for champs like Karthus, Fiddlesticks. All these level 6 junglers now have access to be able to get to their ultimates sooner, where they like to play around. Stealth Ward. It's just going to go down by 30 seconds. So a lot more vision to be able to use. Yeah, okay, that's nice. So they're just trying to reduce early gank pressure. And then turret damage is up by 20 and down later. Or just up. I don't know if this probably actually does change a lot, because if it's just up by 20 damage, that's actually a lot, because it's gonna make tower dives a lot risky. These are just changes you have to get used to. Jungle companions no longer deal damage to epic monsters. That's fine. I don't know if this changes jungle that much. I have jungled recently. But from what I've done and what I see, I don't think this will change too much up. So we'll see. If the only thing it changes if you can now like get 6 a camp earlier. If that's the case, then this is a really big buff to just full clearing and farming junglers. If not, then it doesn't really matter. Clash updates. That's everything there. We do have the skins. We have them up. We have Heartthrob, Caitlyn, and Vi. Oh, you can't see Vi because my camera's covering it. I'm just hoping this means we get Arcane Season 2, because let's go Arcane. Arcane is awesome. It's honestly one of my it's one of my favorite shows because I love League lore. Dude, if this is like, if you see the recalls, like, Yeah. I think the more important thing to know about these two splash arts is this is messed up, man. Amumu sitting over here crying in a corner with his little bag of treats he got from somebody, and here's Vi hitting on Caitlyn in the background. Like, how messed up is that? Like, I feel bad for our poor mummy, Amumu. Like, look at Vi flirting up Caitlyn back here, and then Mumu's just sitting here crying. Listen, he gets nerfed this patch, and then they do this to him. That's messed up. That's messed up. I don't know. They're really good skins. I like how they look in game. This one has real. Their color design on their like effects, like Vi's passive, break, like her 3-stack, and then like the passive effects on these skins look beautiful. I love them. Let's look at the chromas. And open these up. Ooh, I really like this one. Ooh, I like darker aesthetics. I like that chroma. That chroma's nice. All these kind of just look the same. Nothing really stands out here in these chromas. And then Amumu's. Oh, I love that they change his makeup on all of them. Oh, that's really cute. Which one's my favorite? I kind of just like the base one. I guess this one's kind of okay. Yeah, that being said, a lot of really good, I think a couple, it's more of like the lower end on patches, change in effectiveness that occurs inside the game currently. I do think it's good. I like the changes to like Cassante, Annie has to be good. Braum, like I think the champions that, I don't know, wait, why is Annie on the nerf part? Okay, Annie's buffed, even though it says she's nerfed. Yeah, I think champion, obviously Asol. I'm so excited to play Asol again, man. People don't know, but Asol was one of my favorite champions before. And the fact I'm going to be able to play him again makes me so excited. That being said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. It always helps me a lot. And if you enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment. If you have anything like notes to say about maybe my presentation, maybe I stuck a little too long or stuff. Once again, I'm getting used to my formats and how I want to do these. I think this is definitely an improvement from last time. I think the information is a lot easier to digest. That being said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Make sure to check me live on all my socials below, and I will see you all on the next patch.